Unit 10, Africa. Physical geography. Africa has many different landforms and bodies of water. It has hot deserts, tall mountains, big rivers, beautiful coastlines, and wide valleys. Resources. Africa has many natural resources. These include minerals like gold, diamonds, and copper. It also has oil, forests, and fertile land for farming. Some of the current issues. Africa faces many challenges. These include drought, poverty, conflict, pollution, and limited access to healthcare and education. Many people and leaders are working to make things better. Some of the current issues in Africa include drought and climate change, poverty and displacement, conflict and violence, population growth and traffic, pollution and environmental damage, and limited access to healthcare and education. Ancient civilizations of Africa. Long ago, many great civilizations grew in Africa. They built amazing cities, trade centers, buildings, and works of art. Their ideals and achievements shaped the world. Africa is the motherland of all humanity. It is the land where life began and where our ancestors first walked. Everyone on earth comes from Africa. Every culture, every people, every nation has roots that started in Africa. Africa is where it all began. Scientists agree that modern humans first evolved in Africa. Every person alive today shares ancestors who lived in Africa. As people migrated around the world, they adapted to different climates over thousands of years. These adaptations led to differences such as skin color, but all humans remain one species and are genetically about 99.9% the same. Kings and queens. Across Africa, many strong leaders were kings and queens. They ruled kingdoms, protected their people, built great cities, and encouraged trade, learning, and culture. The King of Africa, who sent ships to America long before Christopher Columbus. African voyages to the Americas. Long before Europeans came, Africans and indigenous people had already built relationships based on trade and respect. Mansa Abu Bakr II, Emperor of the Mali Empire, 14th century, 1312 to 1337. A great leader, explorer, and builder who expanded trade and strengthened connections across the world. Mansa Abu Bakr II is known to have sent a fleet of ships across the Atlantic Ocean over 300 years before Christopher Columbus. So Africans and indigenous people were already partners in trade and respect. African explorers and merchants sailed to North America in large ships, bringing goods such as gold, salt, copper, cloth, beads, and spices. They traded with indigenous people for precious items like fur, wood, copper, and other natural resources. These relationships were built on mutual respect, friendship, and shared knowledge. This all happened long before Europeans discovered the Americas. Africa has always been a land of great civilizations, explorers, and builders of connections. History is older, deeper, and more powerful than they taught us. Africa was here. We were here. We always will be here. Africa's kings and queens built great civilizations. However, the foreigners came and took over and changed the whole story. The blunt truth is that Africa didn't lose its kings and queens of weakness. Africa lost them because of invasion, theft, and ruthless colonization. The system was built to keep Africans from ever ruling themselves again. But make no mistake, Africa still has royalty in many places today. The difference is their power was limited and their lands were controlled. So the crowns were not lost, they were just stolen. The legacy was not destroyed, but it was buried. But it can never be erased. So let's discuss some facts and brutal truths of the history of Africa. European colonization. European powers invaded, stole, and colonized almost every part of Africa. They destroyed kingdoms, defeated leaders, and imposed their own rules. Borders drawn to divide. Europeans drew fake borders that cut across ethnic groups and rivaled kingdoms. This weakened unity and created conflict that still affects Africa today. Fake systems and laws. Colonizers banned traditional rules and replaced it with their own governance, laws, and languages. They made it illegal in many places to follow African traditions. Theft of wealth and resources. Africa's gold, diamonds, oil, land, and people were all part of the stealing. Colonizers took almost everything they could of value, leaving nations poor and dependent so they could never truly rise again without assistance. Military control and violence. Colonizers used guns, violence, and fear to crush any resistance. Many African leaders who fought for their people were killed, imprisoned, or exiled. The erasure of history and identity. African children were taught that their history, leaders, and beliefs were primitive. This brainwashing made many people forget their own greatness. Corruption installed. After independence, many countries were left with corrupt leaders, backed by former colonizers. These leaders kept the people divided and in poverty. Foreign control remains. Even today, many African nations are controlled economically and politically by foreign powers through debt, trade, and puppet leaders. Now, this is the information that is blunt and hard for most people to take. However, all of this is allegedly. Africa is home to many religions. People follow different beliefs and celebrate their faith in many ways. Africa has many rich and diverse cultures. People celebrate traditions, create art, enjoy music and food, and value family and community. Africans traded goods, ideals, and skills across Africa and with the world. Trade helped build strong kingdoms, cities, and communities, and created wealth. Tourism brings visitors from around the world to see Africa's amazing places, meet its people, and enjoy unforgettable experiences. Africans have many different religions and beliefs. These beliefs guide how people live, treat others, and understand the world around them. Africa faces many challenges, but people are working hard to solve problems and build a better future. By working together, Africa can keep growing and thriving. Pause this slide or the video to discuss it. Pause this video so you can discuss this image. Africa is the richest continent, but it's being stripped by thieves from foreign places. Countries like the United States of America and China benefit heavily from Africa's resources and give back very little. So the hard truth, the blunt truth, and the real truth is that Africa sits on over 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 65% of the world's unused arable land, 90% of the world's platinum, and huge amounts of oil, gas, gold, diamonds, cobalt, lithium, uranium, and more. And just for educational purposes, the word arable means it is land that cannot currently be plowed or used to grow crops. So, the United States benefits from Africa's oil, gold, diamonds, uranium, cobalt, lithium, coltan, and more, worth billions of dollars every year. So, what does the United States get? Military bases that protect their interests, not Africa's. Foreign aid tied to Africa's obedience. Old equipment, loans that keep Africa in debt, and empty promises. Now, this is what the United States take from Africa: oil and gas, gold and diamonds, cobalt and coltan, lithium and uranium, timber and farmland, fish and other resources. And again, I just spoke of what Africa sits over, all of its minerals. So, this is what they leave. This is what they leave. They leave debt, poverty, pollution, unemployment, weak infrastructure, and political instability. And that includes China, because China also benefits from Africa's minerals, metals, oil, timber, and farmland, worth billions every year. So, what China gives to Africa would be loans that trap Africa in debt, contracts that favor their own companies. So, contracts that favors the companies that China bring to Africa. Cheap labor jobs, little technology transfer, and infrastructure that they don't own. That is Africa, that Africa doesn't own. So, Africa exports raw materials. They make billions, but Africa gets pennies. From the oil, the gold, the cobalt and lithium, the diamonds, the uranium, the timber and farmland. So Africa needs fair trade, not exploitation, real jobs and industries, investment in people, not just resources. So this is the blunt truth. When you think of Africa, understand that Africa is not poor. Africa is just being robbed through contracts and agreements that are unfair. Africa is not helpless. So the hard truth is that Africa's resources build other countries. Africa remains underdeveloped. Fair systems can change that. In Africa, many iconic animals still roam free in the wild. Their home is not a cage. Africa is their freedom. Africa is home to some of the world's greatest wildlife migrations and natural habitats. Protecting these ecosystems helps wildlife thrive. In the wild, animals can run for miles, raise their young, live in natural herds, hunt, play, and survive, keep nature in balance. Leadership around the world. The United States. One black president, Barack Obama, 44th President of the United States of America from 2009 to the year 2017. The United States has had one president who identified as black, Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, whose father was Kenyan and whose mother was white American. Africa. In Africa, leadership reflects the people. In the majority of African countries, the president is African. It is rare to see anyone that is not African as president. Every other United States president has been a white man of predominantly European ancestry. Africa is African. African leadership is the norm, not the exception. Take a look at 6 of the current African leaders very high in power, either currently serving or recently served. Pause this video if you need more time. But we have presidents on this slide. Here we have 6 more current or recent African leaders that are very high in power. Again, these are presidents. Excellent job, creative learning adventurers. I hope this video brought you great insight and helped you to understand things a little better.